Aye.
Okay. And now I would like everybody to, of course, turn to the Plainfield scenario. And we need to look at the ward map for Plainfield for the reallocation based on the 2020 census. Is Kevin, is he on?
Yeah.
Hey guys, I just jumped on. It's Tony. Apologize.
All right, we're just right now starting to look at,
Perfect.
we went through all the preliminaries
Got
and
it.
now we're starting to look at the ward.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. So can everybody see the map on my screen?
Yes.
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 Okay, well, when we ran the numbers for the reallocated census 2020 population data, the city of Plainfield has 54,873 total population spread over 4 wards. The average between the 4 wards is 13,718, which is the mean that we're looking for. With that said, with the less than 10% deviation based on that between any 2 wards in a municipality, the low range of the 10% is 13,032. The high range is 14,404. With that, Ward 1 in Plainfield is on the high side. It's got 14,614, which is about roughly 200 people above the 14,404 allowed by statute. So you're looking at the first scenario, where what we're doing is we're taking census blocks, and again, the census blocks represents the population by the census takers collected. They're identified by a block number, which do represent typically a city block or a tax map block, if you will. And again, we may need to move roughly about 200 people. So what we're looking to do is take Ward 1, District 2, which is census block 1,000 and 1,001, which is right here, which represents 429 people, and move it into Ward 4. So where the present line goes straight up and out into North Plainfield Borough, we're basically going up West 2nd Street and then out up Madison Avenue, taking these 2 census blocks and moving them out of 1 and into 4, which brings us well within the compliant range of the less than 10% deviation. And again, it's based on population totals under Title 40. That's our first scenario. Does anybody have any questions?
So if I heard you correctly, we're just taking the 200 that were over in the first ward and we're putting them into the 4th ward, is that correct?
It's actually, sir, 429 total population from
429, okay.
into Ward 4, because Ward 1 is on the high side. We need to move at least 200, roughly 200 people.
Okay, and these are residents and not registered voters, just residents.
Correct.
Title 40 is residents, a total residential population in the city, correct?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Kevin.
Yes.
I thought that the breakdown of the different wards, I thought that was all green and in compliance.
No,
Under
Ward
scenario
1 was always
one.
high.
So
I think what she's talking about is when you saw map 1, that brings us all into green.
I got it. Okay.
Before it wasn't, but if we do scenario 1, we will be in compliance.
It
Right.
was Ward 1 was originally 14,624 and the allowable is 14,404.
right,
Got it.
and taking this action decreases Ward 1 to 14,185, and then Ward 4 to 14,115, up from the 13,686. So Ward 4 can afford to take the people, and Ward 1 has to move the people. So this was the action taken. I didn't spend the time to go through the current map just to keep the meetings moving at a good pace. I went right into scenario 1. This action would correct that deviation imbalance.
Right,
Okay.
and scenario 1, just for everybody, it only impacts wards 1 and 4. If you're gonna now show scenario 2, it affects all wards except 2.
Correct.
So if
No,
you could go through the next one, it evens it out a little bit better though.
But scenario 2 only affects 1 and 3. It's scenario 3 that has all of the big effect, no?
No, scenario 2 is affecting wards
It's
1, 3,
three.
and 4.
No, that's scenario 3.
No, scenario 2 only affects wards 1 and 3.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, I had the wrong piece of paper in front of me.
Okay, so I'm gonna zoom in
Go ahead to
here.
the next one.
I'm sorry, I'm moving on to scenario 2, if that's okay with the commissioner.
Yes.
Okay, so again, you're seeing the census block information. So what we're talking about here with scenario 2, and again, Ward 1 being the issue that's being too high, we're looking at Ward 1, District 2, census block 2011, which is right here, which is 408 people, and moving that out of 1 and into 3. So right now, this current block is in 1, and we would now be moving it into 3. So it would just be 1 census block moving into Ward 3, which then would bring Wards 3 total to 13,555 and dropping Ward 1 down from 14,205. Again, both within the range that we need to achieve for balance and less than 10% deviation under Title 40. So instead of impacting 2 census blocks or 2 physical city blocks, this would be 1 block represented by census block 2011. If everybody can, I'll zoom in on that a little tighter. We're talking about right here. Would come out of 1 and then go into 3, which is right here. Does anybody have any questions with regard to scenario 2?
Now, my comment would be, I think we just have to decide between 1 and 2. Number 3 has impacts on 4 different wards. These two
Yeah,
seem to be the easiest.
but the third one evens it out a little bit more.
That's what I was
I don't
saying
know, I
before.
want to hear on all 3.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So,
On this scenario, real quick, is this affecting residents on both sides of the street?
so what would happen is, right now, everybody that's adjacent to this, what I'll call a census block, on Madison, on Central, and on West 7, all residents on both sides of the street around this block would now be in 3.
Gotcha. Thank you.
That would be the proposed scenario under 2. You're welcome. So if there's no other questions, I'll move on to scenario 3.
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay, so under scenario 3, this, now again, with all the criteria we need to meet, we do the best we can with meeting all that criteria. This one achieves probably your best balance, although Ward 4 is still on the high side. But what we're looking to do is Ward 1, District 2, census blocks 1003, 1004, 1010 to 1013, 2003, 2004, 2007, which represents 708 in population, moving that to Ward 4. And then again, Ward 1, District 2, census block 1005, which is 162 in population, would go to Ward 2. And then finally, Ward 1, District 2, census blocks 2005, 6, 11, and 12, which is 630 population to Ward 3. So basically, you're talking about taking this from 1, putting it into 4, which is this area here. It's not, I like it, I don't love it as far as compact and contiguous, but it does keep this area intact, although there is some sprawl. Then we would take this census block 162 out of 1 and then push that into 2. And then finally, we would take these rows of blocks, which are currently in 1, and they would then go into 3. So your potential ward line would look like this. Now, the other concern I have is there is I think this elected official is currently in 1, and it would be moving them out of their ward.
That's right.
But again, this was taken from a more of a population balance. But then there's other issues with this. We are also impacting more people and more wards. And there is an elected official this is currently 1, right? That would be moved out, which is probably not a desirable thing.
No, that's problematic.
Exactly. But
I'm not for number 3, but I don't know if that's problematic. I worry about the voters, not where candidates are.
Agreed,
But that's within the criteria.
You know, from my perspective,
I'm more
it's like
worried about what's better for the voters. And right now, I'm thinking 1 or 2 would have a lot less impact. So that's just my thought.
yeah, I mean, this looks like if you went to the dictionary or Google and put in gerrymandering, this is, you know, what you would see, you know, like we're carving this out as opposed to the number 2, in my opinion, has the least impact. The voters have had a very difficult time over the last 2 years, even figuring out how to exercise their rights. And now what we're going to do is we're going to displace 1,000 people, moving them into new districts, displacing a sitting council person, which again is not 100% of my concern, but it's a balance here, as opposed to moving 1 city block in alternate number 2. To me, that has the least disruption to the voter, and it seems balanced on all other points. So I would be in favor of number 2.
And again, commissioners, just want to quickly point out, there are multiple criteria that we need to follow by the statutes under Title 40. If you concentrate on a good balance, you see something like this. If you concentrate on just keeping neighborhoods together, you have another issue. If you concentrate on elected officials, you have a third issue. So we look at all criteria across the board and show representations of what each priority would look like. This probably has the best balance. However, you see we're impacting more people. It sprawls versus other, as I say, less impactful, as Mr. Forrester pointed out, less impactful measures to take to get that balance.
I'd like to, if we can, I'd like to hear from Commissioner Jallo. Did I say your name correct, sir?
Yes, you did. Thank you. I appreciate the various scenarios. I just think that number 3 is way too convoluted. Disrupts a lot. Being a clerk, having to vote on moving an elected official out of their district isn't something I would feel comfortable doing. And I think 1 and 2 makes a lot more sense. It's a lot less disruptive. It's a lot easier for the residents that live in there, and that would be either 1 or 2 would be the ones that I would be supporting.
So, Mr. Jallo, you don't have a preference 1 versus 2.
No, actually,
that's what I was just going to ask. AJ, you're up there more than we are. Which is easier, 1 or 2?
I think 2 would be my the one that I would go with.
And Kevin, as the professional of 1 and 2, do you believe that 2 is probably the best choice here as well?
I do. It's the less impactful. It's only 1 block. I don't think we're disenfranchising anybody, and it's probably the easiest fix for Plainfield to bring them into compliance. I do.
Listening to all that, I'd
agree.
like to make a motion that we accept map and scenario 2
I
as
second
the
that
new
motion.
board lines.
Would you call the roll, Nicole? Is she there?
She's muted. She don't.
Yes, I'm here. Sorry, I was taking notes. I'm here. Okay, Commissioner First,
Yes.
Commissioner Harris,
Muted? Is she there?
She's
I'm not-
muted.
I don't
She's
see her.
shaking her head yes, the meeting.
Okay.
Okay. Commissioner Jallo,
Yes.
Commissioner Kovitz,
Yes.
Commissioner Texera,
Yes.
Commissioner Varnerin,
Yes.
Chair Haralick.
Yes.
All members voted in the affirmative to accept map number 2.
Now I need the famous motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll
To
second
adjourn
it.
Plainfield? Okay. So it was moved by Mr. Jallo and it was seconded by, who?
Dennis.
I didn't hear you. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion adjourned.
So Nicole, we will commence with the document,